book and reading notes. I'm Tanis Coralee Leonhardi. It's my YouTube channel, Tanis Leonhardi, and these are my book and reading notes for Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? 1968 novel slash book, and this is the 1982 edition. May 1982. First, was it Ballantine Books? Ballantine Books edition. And I guess the novel would be 1968 and then reprinted in different book form. And so this segment for today, Friday, 26 January 2024, I read pages 141 to the end of the book, 216, which is part of an 80 pages per day approach, paginated approach, and there were 76 pages. And I realized in doing this, when I introduced this paginated approach concept, I was like, well, if I did pages per video, I could do more than one video per day. And I just found, I thought of today, I was like, well, technically, you could actually have 2 videos per day with the pages per day approach if one finished a book and started another. So there we go. In bringing a hypothetical into an actual and doing some of these paginated approaches, I found a little tidbit. This is possible to do 2 videos per day with both. Could, in theory, do more than 2 videos per day, especially if it was, you know, a bunch of pages per video or something like that, or depending on the book length and stuff like that. I was just like, there we go. It is possible. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to do this one book, one video, but since it was 76 of the 80 pages, I could, in theory, start another one. Or I could in actuality, but I'm not going to. So, yeah. That was the introduction. This is my first time reading it after the year in which the book is set, 2021. I first read this back in 2018, 2019 when I was living in California, the San Francisco Bay Area, which actually is the majority of where this book is set. The San Francisco area. I was in the East Bay Area, but it's still the San Francisco Bay Area. This is my first time reading this book, so after that. And when living in Seattle, which actually, it turns out, they don't go to Seattle, but there's a character who spends a lot of time in Seattle, so Seattle's brought up. So that's kind of relevant. Okay, so that's the introduction. Book notes, it held in there. I don't think I did too much more damage to it. This little piece, you know, kept flaring up. I took the dog ears, I unfolded them, pressed them back. But aside from this little piece, the book wear was not substantial. It is an older book. It's over 40 years. This book is over 40 years of age. So it did just fine. I did not eat food when I was reading it or anything like that, so there's no new stains or anything like that. Okay, so then reading notes. So essentially the parents of this main girl, Pris Stratton, her parents or guardians or overseers, if not parents then parental figures, are staying with this guy who works for this vet. And the main character, the bounty hunter, they're on a list of 8 people who was not people, androids, humanoid robots who escaped from Mars, and he's trying to decommission them, and he got 3 of them, but 2 were already taken care of or something like that, so then that left 3 for him to get. So essentially the rest of the book is him getting and decommissioning or retiring those androids. And he gets the job done. He buys a goat, a black Nubian goat in this, a real animal instead of the electric one. But then android that he has sex with pushes it off the roof of a building before he kills her, but she lies. There's like, the author kind of makes fun of the main character a little bit in perhaps the it was just an interesting writing style, right? To hate all of the characters, but to really hate the main characters. Like to play off the stupidity of the main character a little bit and the desperation of the character to always latch on to some ideology or overarching global schema. And so it's kind of like this character couldn't accept that there might only be one Rachel Rosen. So instead of accepting that it's one Rachel Rosen who's capable of multiple outfit changes and hiding stuff from other people and living multiple lives, he invokes duplicates. Kind of thing. Okay, which, like, if there's a bunch of androids of a certain version, but that's how the character kind of uses to justify. And each time he kind of latches on, and this is before this section as well, each time the character kind of latches on to some like overarching schema, or this thing works, it stops working. And he has difficulty letting go of the fact that it's no longer working. And so that it kind of reaches an all-time high in this, and kind of that's how the book ends a bit, is like, so it's kind of it's an interesting, I would say, author main character dynamic, right? The author might hate androids and humanoid robots, but it also doesn't mean that the author likes the main characters. There are humans, like a grand takeaway would be kind of, there are humans that the author despises, kind of like they despise the androids, maybe not as much, but they still despise them. That's how it came across. And then, you know, the only decent human being ends up being somebody who would be mentally underdeveloped, mentally disabled by modern terminology, I guess, mentally handicapped. I don't know, I love animals, so that's like, kind of thing. So there we go. The human male main character has sex with a humanoid robot, an android, and she says it's her 9th time doing it or something like it. That was like with different human men. But the frame up to the event happening is that she's a virgin and very virginal and stuff like that. And I was like thinking about it, and I was like, is Jacob Ingebrigtsen watching this while I'm filming it? You can take my virginity. I have been raped, but aside from that, I'm a virgin, and people I've talked to said it doesn't count. So then you can take my virginity. And I feel little Jacob Ingebrigtsen, Norwegian Frikola. We're both Norwegian Frikolas. I feel his little vibes through my filming device right now. Through the universe, the ether of the universe. He's saying, you can take my virginity too. Or do you want to take my virginity? Yes! We take each other's virginity. I feel so childlike. Though, like, am I old enough to do that? I'm like approximately 30 years old. You know? Like, kind of thing. So, yeah. So, yes, Mr. Ingebrigtsen. I would like to make sweet, sweet love to you. If you would like to make sweet, sweet love to me, and I would like for us to take each other's virginity. Oh, that would be so sweet. So, okay, right, I'm like, yeah. Mentally distancing myself from the storyline because it makes me uncomfortable by thinking about my own life. Okay, so there we go. Do I have any other reading notes? I kind of just bulldozed through it. I'm not going to go into explicit detail because that's kind of like spoiling it. But I think kind of the big thing is the main character is struggling really hard mentally, and he kind of has multiple mental breakdowns in dealing with these androids, and one in particular. Yeah. Oh, and then they reveal that, you know, one of these TV shows or a psychological concept is a hoax, which is kind of like, is it? There's like psychological or scientific concepts kind of are a fad for what, like a century or two, and then they're disproven and people move on, or it morphs into something else, you know, kind of thing. Some of which are real, some of which are not, but whatever way it is still framed as like, it's a great way to make money or get something through politically or some stuff like that kind of thing. Making it applicable to like real life. It's a pretty, I think it's a pretty good, it's a good short read. These last 76 pages I think were kind of the easiest to follow of these notes videos. This is my third notes video for this reading of this book, this January 2024 reading. A link to the first 2 notes videos for this reading in the video description, as well as the video where I introduced this as the book I was reading. It's now done, so I can say officially it's the first time I'm reading it after the year in which the book is set, which is 2021, in the month of January 2021 more specifically, and I'm reading it in January 2024. So it's officially, I'm done with that first. Is there, I should do, so that's the reading notes, conclusion, any big takeaways? Is it actually different reading it after the year in which it's set, right? I now have a before and after, which is really, I think, kind of cool. Is it different? Yeah. There's not, like, when I was reading it, you know, colonizing space, the advancement of automated driving, and, you know, there's hover cars in here, and electronic everything, and robots, and are going to take over all humans' jobs, and which is, like, exactly what this book about. Only like 50 years earlier, in like 1968, because I read it about 2018, so about when this book was 50 years old. Like, all of that was, like, you know, all the headlines and stuff in the news and stuff. So in reading it, it was like, so essentially everybody's pushing to get it done by 2021, but they're saying they're really pushing to get it done by like 2025. I was like, well, I'm just gonna read this book and be like, sayonara, I'm not even paying attention. So it's kind of now in 2024 being like, well, all those headlines, if they were going for 2021, they definitely didn't make it. And it's really nice to have the, like, well, they can't say they did it by the date of this book, which is kind of cool too. So yeah, it was, as a way of saying, it was more relaxed in reading it this time. And it's also kind of cool to have approximate equidistant readings, right? 2018 and the book was set in 2021, and then 2024 and the book is set in 2021. There's an approximate equidistant of reading. Not quite, but approximate, you know. No, it's not like I read it a decade before the setting of the book and then read it 3 years after. There's approximately 3 years each way. So it's kind of cool in its own way. So yeah, that's my conclusion. Thank you for joining me for this notes video and all the notes videos. I'll link in the video description if you haven't seen the other ones. Jacob Ingebrigtsen, I love you. And I'm Tanis Coralee Leonhardi, and I love you. And if we got married or something, could we discuss Ingebrigtsen being my middle name? Is that applicable? You could take Leonhardi as your surname or something. I don't know. Well, does that work with as your last name? Anyway, well then, if I had more than one soulmate, then there might be a battle for the. Is it TICL? Tanis Ingebrigtsen Coralee Leonhardi? Is it Tanis Ingebrigtsen Leonhardi? Is it Tanis, a different soulmate, supposed to lie, Leonhardi? I don't know. Okay, point being, I love you, man. And I love all of my viewers, whether you're Jacob Ingebrigtsen or not. Happy day and time of being to you. Happy life to you. Happy living to you.